What's up, guys? We're standing on the edge of what will one day be one of my clover, chicory, and alfalfa plots. It's going to be a 3 to 5 year perennial plot. What I'm going to use is two things. Well, actually three, and that's the point of this video. And I think no matter what brand of clover, chicory, and or alfalfa, or all three that you are using in your food plots, you need to add something to it, especially when implementing it for the first time, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So my seed of choice is going to be Domain. The reason I'm choosing Domain is because they have a high germination rate seed. When I look at seed companies, I make sure that they have a high turnover rate in seed. I don't want seed that sits on a shelf for a long time, loses germination rate year by year by sitting on a shelf, or you go to a big box store, and sometimes that can happen with some of the big buck, food plot bags that get pushed to the back and people aren't, properly stocking them in the stores. Anyway, I picked Domain because I've had the best luck with it. And some of my year 2 perennials have looked absolutely phenomenal, but I'm a guy that doesn't have a ton of patience. And so notice I said year number 2, those perennials look really great. When implementing perennials, guys, it takes time. And year number 1, they don't always look super great. So I'm using a couple things from Domain. And I'm generally trying to frost seed them the year prior to that first year. And what I'm doing is I'm frost seeding Hot Chick and Comeback Kid. Like I said, clover, chicory, and alfalfa, red clovers, white clovers. There's a lot of different things throughout those blends. Worst case scenario, I can pretty much seed this anytime throughout the spring and summer. The earlier you actually put it down, the better results you're going to get year number 1. What I generally tell people to do is I do tell them to double the seeding rate this first year while using those blends. It still takes time to implement. Some of the stuff has been frost seeded and it's starting to germinate now, and we're sitting in about that June time frame. It's really going to start popping here very shortly, and it's going to start popping, but I still want results faster. So what am I going to do? I'm actually going to take a new product that's out this year from Domain called Clover Clutch. So what is Clover Clutch and how should we use it? This is the part of the video where you really need to pay attention to get the results. If we just use Hot Chick and Comeback Kid, we can mow this stuff periodically. Keep the weeds back the first couple years and allow that clover, chicory, and alfalfa to flourish, outcompete those weeds, so on and so forth. So the thing about Clover Clutch is it is an annual clover. And the thing about annual clovers is they are not meant to be mowed. I'm going to say that again. They are not meant to be mowed, but the perk to them is they grow super fast. So in that year number 1, when you're trying to implement, quality food plots and quality perennials, and it takes time, and you want something to speed up the process for at least year number 1, so year number 1 you got something solid to hunt over, we can introduce Clover Clutch. So now your options are, 1, we could mow it prior to ever putting Clover Clutch down. Maybe the day that you put it down, you mowed your clover, chicory, alfalfa for the first time. And then after that, we would probably use some selective herbicides, something like clethodim. Can't use 2,4-DB or butirac because it would kill your chicory. But we would use the clethodims of the world and maybe some other ones as well. But at least if we do that, we're not going to be mowing this food plot anymore, which we cannot do as soon as we incorporate Clover Clutch. When to add Clover Clutch? Depends how long you want to mow. We could put it down right away in the spring, but realize we got to go straight to herbicides then, and we cannot use any mowing to maintain our food plot or the weeds in our food plot. I'm a big mowing guy, so what I'm going to try and do to limit my herbicide usage is I'm going to try and mow this all the way up until a good rainstorm in July, and then I'm going to seed in the Clover Clutch really heavy into the areas that need it the most, so that in that July and August time frame, granted it's not a super long time frame, but we're going to get some germination of the annual clovers and ultimately thicken up those bald spots in the plot, because there will be bald spots in the plot. A lot of you guys have gotten a hold of me, clients or people that follow us online. They're like, hey, my clover, chicory, alfalfa seems to be taking its sweet time. Is it coming up? Yes, it's coming up. So don't get freaked out about that, but it does take time. And so now if we implement the Clover Clutch or some other things, and more importantly, just annual clovers to our newly implemented perennials, guys, your first year food plot is going to be awesome. That's why we also double that seeding rate of the Hot Chick and the Comeback Kid, but now we add this to it. They're going to be awesome. And then year number 2, guys, you're not going to need to add necessarily any Clover Clutch. You could if you still had a couple bald spots, but when it comes to year 2, guys, I want you to remember this. When it comes to year 2 of these food plots, these perennial plots, take a picture and send it to me and say, Brett, you were right. I was kind of questioning you year number 1 because it took a little while to implement, but holy smokes, year number 2, this clover chicory alfalfa was knee and even taller, knee height and taller. How do I know? Because I've done it. I've been through those stages and I know what happens in year 2. But let's just ensure that we get a good quality product and or food plot in year number 1 by adding Clover Clutch, guys. So that for you today is my biggest tip when it comes to maintaining perennial, newly implemented clover plots.